If you woke up tomorrow morning and could no longer work, play, or exercise, what would be the long-term consequences on your mind and body? You're with Gusto, and today we're going to explore that question. Before I do, a shout out to all the lovely people I met on May 12th at Bondi Beach for International M.E I Awareness Day. M.E Action put out an impressive display of hundreds of thongs spelling out the letters M.E on the sands of Bondi to represent the thousands of people too sick to demonstrate in person. Hope to see you all again sometime soon. For those new to my vlog, I have ME, and to help raise awareness I'm doing the ME Chili Challenge by eating a consecutively hotter chili each episode until I consume the world's stupidly hottest chili, the 2 million Scoville Carolina Reaper. Today I'll hit 100,000 Scoville heat units with the bird's eye chili, commonly found in Southeast Asian cuisine like my personal favourite Thai food. And if you've accidentally ever eaten one of these in a dish before, you know how hot it is. But remember, still only 5% of a Carolina Reaper. But first, allow me to explain just the way in which ME creates a myriad of deadly serious medical and psychological complications. To begin with, ME is already a multisystemic disorder, meaning it badly disrupts all of the following systems: neurological, immune, musculoskeletal, endocrine, digestive, and cardiovascular. All that is bad enough on its own because it's like waking up every day with the worst flu of your life. But then any activity, especially exercise, is going to make you feel even worse. Being forced to constantly rest after activity due to post-exertional malaise, which is the hallmark symptom of ME, creates and exacerbates physical deconditioning, which in turn can lead to obesity. We know just how serious the obesity epidemic is, but allow me to list some of the medical risks: heart disease, stroke, cancer, high cholesterol, type 2 diabetes, high blood pressure, breathing disorders, gout. I've no idea what gout is, but it sounds goddamn horrible. Gallbladder disease, osteoarthritis, reproductive issues. In women that could be gynecological problems, and in men that could be erectile dysfunction. Not an issue with me, just putting that out there. Physical degeneration can be so serious that some patients' bodies shut down entirely, leading to mortality. This is the case with Sophia Mirza, who died of the disease, and tragically is occurring right now to a patient named Whitney Defoe, whose father is one of the scientists racing to find a treatment to save his son's life.
I have to be the one who tries to figure it out, and that's really hard on me.
Let's examine some psychological risks. Catching up with family and friends is always great, but unfortunately for sufferers it creates a lot of physical pain. So naturally we're forced to do that less often. This presents serious psychological risks such as depression, low self-esteem, anxiety, over-dependency, stress, and emotional problems like anger, self-criticism, and pessimism. Once these are entrenched, they become increasingly difficult to resolve. Relationship breakdowns can all too easily occur as well. I myself am divorced as a direct result of ME. My ex-wife decided she simply couldn't cope with the wildly unpredictable nature of the disease. I've lost touch with old friends, and I've had to turn down a lot of new friends as well. I've read far too many accounts of sufferers being disowned by their own families. Can you imagine what this does to a person's state of mind who's already dealing with extraordinary physical suffering? It can be increasingly difficult or impossible to bust stress through exercising, socializing, or hobbies. Your work capacity has been so severely diminished or stripped entirely by the neurological and physical symptoms that you can no longer define yourself through a professional identity. This is the recipe for a perfect storm. A vicious cycle of ME symptoms, psychological trauma, and physical inactivity, happening right now to millions of sufferers worldwide. It results in some eye-opening facts. And a quick preface, these statistics were difficult to pull together because the CDC has not made ME a reportable disease, meaning that if a patient dies with the condition, there's no requirement to list that on the death certificate. Once we have a test, we can lobby to make ME reportable. That said, the figures I could find suggest that the top 3 killers of ME patients, accounting for a total of 60% of deaths, are heart disease, cancer, and suicide. The average age of heart failure in the general population is around 83 years old, versus an average age of around 59 years in the ME sample. That's a 24-year shorter life expectancy. The median age of death for cancer in the United States is 72 years old versus an average age of around 49 for the ME sample. Again, a 24-year younger death. The average age of death for suicide in the United States is 48 versus an average age of around 39 in the ME sample, a 9-year gap. What this clearly suggests is that ME carries a significantly increased risk of death. Most alarming to me is that the suicide rate is 8 to 10 times more likely in ME patients than in the US population. We're talking 19% versus 1.9% respectively. A near 20% suicide rate is staggering. I wouldn't have even have guessed that the suicide rate could be so high, and that's despite the fact that I've had unwelcome suicidal thoughts pop into my noggin. Every time it's happened, it's not because I want to die, but the exact opposite. It's that I desperately want to live my life without these periods of extended isolation and physical suffering. I've spoken to a psychologist about the issue, and she believes that when the brain encounters intractable problems, it just begins offering solutions without real regard to how ill-advised or senseless they are, and they need to be consciously acknowledged as such. Regardless, sometimes these type of thoughts can be very hard to get rid of. If, for example, they were combined with a pre-existing condition, such as depression or anxiety, it can be a recipe for tragedy. Please remember, if you're having trouble coping, reach out to a family member or a close friend. Alternatively, if you found them unreceptive, seek professional help. Like I did, find a psychologist who believes that ME is physiological in nature. Alternatively, you can also reach out to the good folks at Lifeline. The service doesn't have to be for pure emergencies either. You can just call them up if you really need someone to talk to / vent.
Ron, where are you?
I'm in a glass case of emotion!
Over months and years, ME can cause a series of vicious cycles and knock-on effects. Without exercise, it's hard to ward off disease and bust stress. Catching up with family and friends is great, but it creates physical pain, but then doing that less often creates isolation. You become ineffective in your professional life, so your sense of self-worth and purpose are greatly diminished. I want to see this web of complications end forever. I'm sure you do, and I'm sure so do the following celebrities. So help me out by dropping them a tweet, and hopefully one of them is willing to participate in the ME Chili Challenge. Sure.
Do you believe?
Flea.
Scottish that I wish you saw.
Emma Blackery.
I was finally diagnosed with chronic fatigue syndrome.
Morgan Fairchild.
It's because Morgan Fairchild has had this disease.
And Stuart Murdoch.
There's not even a bit of paper that says I have ME.
All right, time to eat the bird's eye. Suppers are ready. Oh my goodness. It wasn't so bad at the first bite, and now there's a little bonfire at the back of my mouth. Oh, the heat's spreading across my tongue. My stomach said, that's not okay. We're not okay with what you just did, bro. Eyes are watering furiously. Oh, the lips are starting to burn now. Yeah, it's still like a goddamn pizza oven in my mouth. Oh. Okay, now I got the nose running. The burning's staying, the tongue is on fire. Remember, the smaller chilies are the really hot ones. And I actually picked out, when I went to the supermarket, the smallest one I could get because I'm sick of doing so much chewing on video. but I have regrets. My throat's starting to seize a little. Okay guys, well, thank you so much for watching again, and join me next time for episode 6, where I run through all the desperate attempts I've made to cure myself of ME. Spoiler alert, I fail. Holy guacamole.